Sister, I am so honored to be here to speak to you today about one of my favorite topics, and that's us. And I want to tell you today, one of the things that drives us, moves us, fixes us, is contained in our own toolboxes. We all have a toolbox we use each and every day to get our issues resolved. Today, I'm up here to talk to you about a particular toolbox that we may not be aware of. But before I get started, I want to give some definitions out here. Wouldn't it be nice if we were able to fix 80 to 90% of all our issues, of all the issues that you run into daily, with a toolbox? So I'm going to make a proposal. I'm going to use 3 simple tools to represent the toolbox. The first thing in our toolbox is going to be this, a hammer. Everyone familiar with a hammer? It's a simple tool, but it does a lot of different things. The next thing in our toolbox I'd like to mention is a screwdriver. We're familiar with this. All of us have used this or seen this at one time or another. And the last thing in our toolbox is a good old pair of pliers. Now I know that most of you would agree with me. These are 3 basic tools. But let me ask you a question. Can these 3 tools, a hammer, screwdriver, and pliers, fix us and the issues we have? No. I agree with you. No. I'm more complicated than that. I need an Allen wrench at least. But this brings me to the topic I want to talk about. There's another operator with a toolbox called Satan. He uses the same 3 basic tools on us every single day. And we're not aware of what's going on. The tools he uses on us leads us away from God. And they're one of these 3 basic tools. So, I say to you, if you would turn with me to 1 John 2:16. I'm reading from the New King James Version in this particular scripture. It's in the back of the Bible if you haven't been back there in a while. Okay. As I quote, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life is not of the Father, but is of the world. Question. Who's the God of this world we're currently in? You don't have to answer. We all know that. Satan. So I'm going to let these fundamental tools that I showed you here, the hammer, represent the lust of the flesh. The screwdriver, the lust of the eyes. And the pliers, pride of life. So I pose another question to you. What is your hammer, screwdriver, and pliers that takes care of your daily needs? As a teacher, as a former teacher, mine was a marker, a board, and a ruler to create an understanding of math for my students. This past week, up until right now, I've been working on being a Trinidadian. So it's a car, the TT dollar, and Trinidadian living. I don't know how I'm doing, but we'll talk about this afterwards. As a homemaker, it could be a pan, a special dish, and a fork to eat that tasty treat you prepared. We all have a toolbox that contains basic tools that can fix 80 to 90% of our problems. So let's go down a little further. The hammer, the lust of the flesh. We've all seen this. Everyone everywhere you look, every time you turn your head around. Don't you deserve the best? Cherry, mate. Don't you deserve the best car? Don't you deserve the best food, clothes, furniture, boat, whatever it is? Don't you all deserve the best? We've seen that everywhere. I want to stop for a moment and give you a definition. Let's define lust. According to Webster's, this is the definition. Lust is intense desire or need, sexual or passionate craving, hunger-driven, lust of the flesh, your body's craving. Songs we hear on the airways, on the radio. I miss you so much, baby. I love you. Christ had a different view. If you can turn now with me to Romans 8, chapter 8, verse 10. And this again I'm reading from the New King James Version. And if Christ is in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the spirit of life because of righteousness. Strive for your righteousness. That's the important piece there. Next we have the screwdriver. Lust of the eyes. Very important lust as we look around. Now when John wrote this particular epistle letter, he was about 80 years old. At that point in his life, he had seen and felt all. Think about it. 80-year-old man, there's not much that gets past us. I'm not there yet. Do we have far more things to lust after right now where we live as we look around? I mean, I have ADHD. Here in Trinidad, it's pinging. I mean, I'm looking around seeing things and say, whoa, what's this? Driving down your north and south highway, I just can't get enough of that excitement. Going up there and just watching my driver cut in and out. No crash so far. But we have far more things to lust after right now. You bet we do. It's everywhere. Lust of the eyes is especially for us men. 70–80% of all men are visual. You say, well, what does that mean? Let me explain something to you. Basically, as humans, we have three modes of communication by which we learn. They are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. The touch, feel, emotional. You know, how you feeling today? Junior, how you feeling today? That's great. Addiction to porn is rampant. Now it's gone to 1/3 of all women view it now. Even though that's not their mode of learning. That's not their basic mode of learning. Beachwear. What's accepted? We're in the video age. Sexting. In school, it started at junior high school to high school. Now it's grade school. They're sending pictures of things that we adults haven't even seen. I've seen it in my classroom. I happen to be the instructor of the bad ones. I didn't have the nice students. I didn't even know what a nice student was until I started going to Sabbath meetings. I see great young people here. I had the ones that were out there with the loud music, looking with the pants hanging down halfway around their ankle. That's who I taught. Try to reach them. Now it's down to grade school. Your 5-, 6-year-old sexting, sending these pictures out. We have addiction to cell phones. I mean, Mr. Sedano had to say at the beginning of the meeting, nobody should have to be told to put away your cell phone in this room. But he had to make sure that you weren't on your electronic device. Because if you were, you probably have nomophobia, addiction to a cell phone. How many of you been anywhere you see people out with cell phones? Couples are sitting there, they're texting each other across the table. It's gotten ridiculous. If I get you to turn one more place to Matthew 5:29. Christ says these words himself. If your right eye causes you to sin, pluck it out and cast it away from you. For is it more profitable that one of your members should perish than your whole body be cast into hell? You got to ask yourself a question when you get distracted and you're looking at what you're not supposed to. You're doing what you're not supposed to. Very important question. It's on us daily. Now finally, we have the pliers. This is a big one. Pride of life. No one in this room is proud or vain. I know it. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen here in Trinidad, does it? No. You hear sayings like, I'm so pretty. Look at me. My money, my prestige, my looks, my world knowledge. Humility. How many of our leaders worldwide display humility? Can't think of any right off the top. My Christ did. He made us from dirt. He made man from dirt. Our Adam and Eve was dirt. What are we made from? Blood. He came down from his heavenly throne to live like us, to be one of us. In your spare time, read Philippians 2, and you'll understand what he gave up to leave the heavenly domain. That'd be a decision I'd take all night on. I wouldn't just say, Father, I'm down here, sacrifice for these creatures that I've created. It'd be a tough job. You leave in luxury, your palace, all that good life. Humility. We don't have leaders to display it anymore. How many humble leaders do we have? How many leaders are out there humbly? It's an anomaly to see a humble leader. Look at Mr. Trump. Is he a humble man? I don't know. He may be a red hat wearer. I don't know. Can we lead without power? Christ did. Can we lead and not be a theologian? Yes. We can lead without being these wonderful things that we think we are. We must lead by our actions that prove out our words. As you say, do. Walk and talk, and walk the talk. I've heard a lot of empty words since I've been here in Trinidad, but I'm going to tell you a secret. I heard them all over the world. Promises that weren't kept. And I just keep smiling and keep moving. I want to end by telling you, don't let these tools dictate your life, because they're at you every single day, every minute. The lust of the world, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life.